Good evening. This is CTV News for Tuesday, September 11th. I'm Denise Douglas.
And I'm Patricia Vallone. Thank you for joining us. Well, today marks the 17th anniversary of the September 11th terrorist attacks on U.S. soil. Memorials took place this morning at the Pentagon, in New York, and in Shanksville, Pennsylvania. State officials also remembered the tragic events of that day with a special wreath-laying ceremony at the Maryland Fire Rescue Services Memorial in Annapolis.
Those heroes from Flight 93. We talk about the firefighters and EMS and police personnel that rushed into the burning building, but the people that were on that flight were true heroes. They knew at that time that the plane had been hijacked. They knew that planes had crashed into other buildings, that people's lives were in jeopardy, and they decided to take actions into their own hands. And they are heroes to me because ultimately they fought those terrorists. Unfortunately, the pilot at that time, the terrorist pilot, was able to put that plane down and crash it into a field. But we all know that if that plane would have met its final destination, there would have been more citizens hurt because it's headed for a populated area.
Meantime, the county council remembered the 24 Prince Georgians who lost their lives during the fateful events of 9/11. The fire department will also be holding a memorial stair climb and 5K walk this Saturday, September 15th at 6 a.m. Participants will pay tribute to fallen first responders by climbing or walking the equivalent of 110 stories, similar to the World Trade Center towers.
And Patty, local residents also reflected on the terrorist attack that shocked the nation. Tanika Turner says her mother, Brenda, was working at the Pentagon at the time of the crash, but had left the area where the plane hit just minutes before the attack.
Not too long before she reached her office, she heard a big explosion. So it was, it was a really close call. I could have lost my mom that day.
I got up this morning and I thought about what I had seen on television, and I said, well, Lord, I hope it doesn't happen again.
She wasn't hurt physically, but emotionally she was very affected by it.
125 people working in the Pentagon were killed in the attack.
And our other top story tonight, as Hurricane Florence picks up more and more speed, officials warn that the Category 4 storm could reach Category 5 status by Thursday. The potential impact of the hurricane has prompted governors in many East Coast states, including Maryland, to declare a state of emergency. Governor Larry Hogan says he wants residents to be sure that they're prepared.
So we declared a state of emergency yesterday. We still don't know the exact path of the storm, but it looks like we're going to have a major impact here in Maryland one way or another, potentially devastating flooding, depending on which path it takes and the timing of it. And we're just asking people to do everything they can to prepare and to take precautions, to have make sure they have plenty of water, food, batteries, flashlights, and that they take care of pets and loved ones and any neighbors or family that need assistance because we potentially are going to have flooding situations across the state.
Other preparedness tips: make sure your cell phones are charged, have enough essential medications at home, and keep emergency cash on hand.
In Laurel, officials are also preparing and urging residents to do the same. In the Emergency Operations Center, the team is listening to briefings and watching the path of the storm. Riverfront Park and the commuter lot on Lafayette Avenue and Main Street will be closed in anticipation of the storm. In addition, residents should clear out their gutters and ensure any outdoor drains are free of debris.
Well, right now the city is preparing for the worst. We hope for the best. We're out making sure that our drains are not clogged, that there's no debris. We're asking residents to make sure that they take the debris in their trash and not put it on the curbside, so that when the rains do come, it'll end up in the storm drains and it'll end up blocking drains and give us problems here in the city for flooding.
And you said clearing out storm drains and so forth. So are crews on the road right now kind of making that happen?
Yeah, we have crews out looking at different areas in the city where we know it's prone to flooding. And they're clearing storm drains. They're looking at making sure that trash is picked up, any yard debris is picked up as well. We'll be doing that the next few days because they say most of the storm doesn't look like it'll hit the area until late Thursday or Friday.
And you can log on to cityoflaurel.org for more details on their storm preparation efforts.
Well, Maryland State Capitol is also busy preparing for a deluge of water. The historic section of Annapolis is no stranger to flooding, so residents and businesses are prepping for the worst. Mayor Gavin Buckley says the city even recently conducted a drill.
We experience nuisance flooding on a constant basis, so this city is very much aware of what can happen when these situations present themselves. We have done a hurricane drill about 2 weeks ago. We took a half day of preparedness. It was a different situation to what's coming towards us. It involved high winds as well, but the tidal surges is what we deal with all the time. So we're prepared, and we're hoping for not the worst, but we're prepared for whatever comes at us.
And downtown Annapolis experiences flooding about 50 times a year, according to 2017 data from the Capital Gazette. It's expected to become a daily occurrence in the city within the next 50 years.